When my father stormed into my tiny art studio and told me I was stealing his rightful inheritance, I laughed in his face. Days later, I was sitting in a maximum security prison cell, charged with forging my grandmother's will. That's when I realized family loyalty was like quicksand. The harder you fight to hold on to it, the faster you sink. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments if your family has ever betrayed you over money. Because this story is about to get messier than a Jackson Pollock painting. The day everything changed started normally enough. I was in my studio, working on a commissioned piece, paint splattered, and happy in my creative bubble. The autumn sun streamed through the industrial windows, catching dust motes in its golden beams. I'd been living my bohemian dream in New York for 5 years, scraping by but proud of my independence. Then my father burst in without knocking, his expensive Italian loafers incongruous against my paint-stained concrete floor. Behind him, my Uncle Marcus lurked like a shadow, his usual smirk replaced by something darker. "You conniving little witch," Dad spat, waving his phone in my face. "What did you do to convince her?" I stepped back, confused. "What are you talking about? Don't play innocent. Grandma changed her will last week. $5 billion, all of it, to you. Not a penny to her own children. What kind of manipulation did you pull?" The world tilted sideways. Grandma Rose had always been my rock, the one who believed in my art when everyone else pushed me toward business school. But $5 billion? That couldn't be right. "I had no idea," I said, but Dad was already pacing, running his hands through his silver hair. "Like hell you didn't. You've been playing the devoted granddaughter for years, haven't you? While the rest of us were actually running her companies, building her empire, you were painting your little pictures and worming your way into her good graces." Uncle Marcus stepped forward, his voice oily smooth. "Be reasonable, Sarah. This is clearly a mistake. Sign over your rights to the inheritance, and we can forget this unfortunate scene ever happened." I squared my shoulders, anger rising. "Get out. Both of you. I don't know anything about Grandma's will, but if she made that choice, she had her reasons." "You'll regret this," Dad hissed, jabbing his finger at me. "You have no idea what you're up against. Script part separator equals. They stormed out, leaving me shaking. I barely had time to process before my phone exploded with notifications. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years suddenly wanted to catch up. My sister Caroline, who'd moved to Europe to escape family drama, sent a series of increasingly frantic texts. I needed answers. The card for Grandma's lawyer, Bob Sloan, was still in my wallet from when she'd insisted I keep it just in case. My hands trembled as I dialed. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in his mahogany-paneled office, staring at documents that confirmed the impossible. Grandma Rose had indeed left me everything: the real estate empire, the tech investments, the art collection, even her beloved Hamptons estate where I'd spent my happiest childhood summers. "Your grandmother was very clear about her decisions," Bob said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. "She also left this for you." He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter in Grandma's elegant handwriting. "My dear Sarah, if you're reading this, they've already started circling like vultures. Don't let them intimidate you. I chose you because you're the only one who never saw me as a bank account. You have strength they don't understand. You'll need it now more than ever. There are things you need to know. Trust no one, not even Bob. Check the green leather album in my study. Page 42. All my love. Grandma Rose." "When can I access the estate?" I asked, tucking the letter away before Bob could see it. "There's a mandatory 30-day waiting period for estates of this size," he replied. "But given the unusual circumstances, I'd expect legal challenges." I left his office in a daze, only to find my father waiting by my car. He'd clearly been drinking. "Last chance," he growled. "Sign it over voluntarily, or I'll destroy you. You think you can run a $5 billion empire? You can barely run your sad little art business." "Goodbye, Dad," I said, trying to step around him. He grabbed my arm. "You ungrateful brat. I should have shipped you off to boarding school when I had the chance." "Let go of me," I said, loud enough to draw attention from passers-by. He released me, but his eyes were cold. "You'll regret this." Mark my words. I didn't know then how right he was. Or that in less than 24 hours, my entire world would collapse around me. Script part separator ===. I drove straight to Grandma's estate, my heart pounding. The security guard, Miguel, recognized me immediately and waved me through. The massive Georgian mansion loomed ahead, its windows dark except for the study where Grandma used to spend her evenings. Maria, the housekeeper who'd been with Grandma for 30 years, met me at the door with red-rimmed eyes. "Miss Sarah, thank God you're here. They've been coming and going all day, taking things." "Who has?" "Your aunts, your cousins, even your father. They say they're collecting mementos, but—" She wrung her hands. I raced up to the study. The green leather album. Page 42. The shelves had been ransacked, books scattered everywhere. But there, behind a loose panel I remembered from childhood hide-and-seek games, I found it. Page 42 held a USB drive taped to the paper. Before I could examine it, voices echoed from downstairs. "She has to be here somewhere. Find that album." I recognized Uncle Marcus's voice, and another, Detective James Porter, my father's golf buddy. Maria appeared in the doorway, terrified. "They have a warrant." I barely had time to slip the USB into my boot before they burst in. Detective Porter smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Sarah Mitchell, you're under arrest for forgery and fraud. We have evidence you fabricated your grandmother's will." "What?" "That's ridiculous. We have security footage of you entering her study the night before she signed the new will. And a very interesting email trail." He produced handcuffs. "Your father has been very helpful in the investigation." As they led me out, I saw Dad watching from the foyer, face impassive. Uncle Marcus stood beside him, actually smirking. The next 12 hours were a blur of concrete cells and harsh fluorescent lights. My one phone call went to Caroline in Paris. "My God, Sarah," she whispered. "It's all over the news here. But listen, I found something in Grandma's papers when I visited last month. Something about Dad and Uncle Marcus." The line went dead. My court-appointed lawyer was fresh out of law school and clearly overwhelmed. "The evidence is pretty damning," she admitted. "The footage, the emails, and they found documents on your laptop showing you researched will forgery months ago. Those aren't mine. Someone planted them. The DA is offering a deal. Sign over the inheritance, plead guilty to a lesser charge. Probation instead of prison." I thought of Grandma's letter. "Trust no one. No deal," I said. "I need to make another call." "To who?" I smiled grimly. "Alexandra Chun, the celebrity defense lawyer. She charges millions. Good thing I just inherited $5 billion. What I didn't say was that Alexandra had another qualification. She was Uncle Marcus's ex-wife, and she knew where all his bodies were buried. The game was about to change. Script part separator ===. Alexandra Chin arrived like a force of nature in 6-inch Louboutins and a power suit that probably cost more than my old apartment. The guards practically tripped over themselves letting her into my cell. Well, she said, studying me. "The artist who threatens the Mitchell empire. I've been waiting for someone to crack that facade." Within hours, she had me released on bail. As we walked out, reporters swarmed like piranhas. "Ms. Mitchell, did you forge the will? How long have you been planning this? What do you say to allegations of elder abuse?" Alexandra steered me through them with practiced ease. "My client maintains her innocence. The real criminals will be exposed soon enough." In her Mercedes, I finally examined the USB drive. Inside was a single video file, Grandma Rose, recorded 3 days before she died. "Sarah, if you're watching this, they've moved faster than I expected. Your father and Marcus have been embezzling millions for years, using my companies to launder money for the Cardetti crime family. The proof is in the offshore accounts listed below. They plan to sell everything once I died. Don't let them win." Alexandra's smile was predatory. "Oh, this is better than I hoped. Marcus always was sloppy with his records." "Why are you helping me?" "Because when Marcus divorced me, he tried to leave me penniless. I've spent 5 years gathering evidence. With your grandmother's video, we can finally nail them." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Back off now, or Caroline has an unfortunate accident in Paris. Alexandra read it over my shoulder. They're desperate. Good. But we need to move fast. Your sister isn't the only one in danger. What do you mean? Your grandmother's death? I don't think it was natural causes. The world spun. Are you saying? I'm saying your father and uncle had 5 billion reasons to want her dead. And now they have the same reasons to want you out of the picture. Script part separator equals. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in Alexandra's luxury guest house made me jump. The weight of what she'd suggested, that Dad and Uncle Marcus had actually killed Grandma, felt like ice in my veins. Around 3 a.m., my phone lit up with a message from Caroline. I'm safe. Made it to the embassy. Found more docs in safety deposit box. Dad's been planning this for years. Before I could reply, Alexandra burst in. We need to move.
Now. Why?
What's? Gunshots shattered the window. Alexandra tackled me as glass rained down. Your father's friends don't mess around, she said grimly, pulling me toward a panic room. The Cardettists just made their move. Inside the steel-reinforced chamber, Alexandra made calls while I tried to stop shaking. Within minutes, FBI agents swarmed the property. Special Agent Rivera interviewed us at dawn. We've been building a case against the Cardetti family for years, she explained. Your grandmother was helping us. That's why they wanted her silenced. My own father, had arranged Grandma's murder. The truth felt like acid in my throat. But we had a new problem. The evidence on the USB drive was gone. Someone had corrupted the file remotely. Without it, it was my word against theirs. That's when Maria called. Miss Sarah. They're tearing apart the study again. But they don't know about the hidden room. Hidden room? Alexandra mouthed. Behind the bookcase, I whispered back to Maria. Grandma's secret archive. They never found it because the trigger is in the art. My painting. The one she commissioned last year. It's a map. Alexandra's eyes lit up. Your grandmother was brilliant. We had 24 hours until the preliminary hearing. Dad's lawyers were pushing for immediate transfer of the estate, claiming I was mentally unstable. But Grandma Rose had left one final card to play. And this time, I was ready to unleash hell. The next morning, as we walked into court, Alexandra smiled like a shark circling prey. Ready to make your father regret ever doubting you? More than ready, I said, clutching the sealed evidence from the hidden room. Time to show them what this artist can really do. Script part separator equals. The courtroom was packed. News cameras lined the walls, eager to capture the billion-dollar family drama. Dad and Uncle Marcus sat with their legal team, looking polished and confident. I caught Dad smirking at my paint-stained fingernails, still the messy artist in his eyes. If he only knew what those artists' hands had discovered. Your Honor, Alexandra began, we have evidence that will change everything this court understands about this case. Dad's lawyer jumped up. Objection. Any new evidence should have been submitted during discovery. Your Honor, Alexandra countered smoothly. This evidence was literally discovered last night, in a hidden room Ms. Mitchell accessed using her intimate knowledge of the estate, knowledge that proved she was, indeed, her grandmother's closest confidant. The judge peered over his glasses. Proceed, Miss Chun. I watched Dad's face as Alexandra laid out the contents of Grandma's secret archive. First came the photos, Dad and Uncle Marcus meeting with known Cardetti lieutenants. Then the ledgers, showing decades of money laundering through shell companies. But the coup de grace was the audio recordings. Grandma, it seemed, had been wearing a wire for months. Once the old bat's dead, we'll have it all. Dad's voice filled the courtroom. Sarah's too naive to stop us. If she won't play ball, we'll handle her like we handled Mom. The color drained from Dad's face. Uncle Marcus started whispering frantically to his lawyer. Special Agent Rivera stood. Your Honor, the FBI is prepared to take the defendants into custody. What happened next was chaos. Uncle Marcus tried to run, only to be tackled by bailiffs. Dad lunged at me, screaming that I was a traitor, before being handcuffed. Through it all, I stayed calm, channeling Grandma's strength. Who's naive now, Dad? The media called it the scandal of the decade. 2 prominent businessmen arrested in open court, a family empire revealed to be a criminal enterprise. But I wasn't done yet. Alexander touched my arm as they led my father away. Ready for phase 2? I nodded. Because while justice for Grandma felt good, there was still the matter of the Cardetti family. And I had $5 billion worth of resources to help the FBI bring them down. The game wasn't over. It was just moving to a bigger board. Script part separator . The next morning's headlines screamed Mitchell heiress takes down crime family. I barely recognized myself in the grainy courtroom photos, looking poised and determined instead of the scattered artist I'd always been labeled as. But we had bigger problems. The Cardettis weren't going quietly. They've frozen all your accounts, Alexander announced, striding into my temporary safe house. Some judge in their pocket signed off on it an hour ago. I smiled, remembering Grandma's lessons. Good thing I moved everything offshore last night. Alexandra raised an eyebrow. You're learning. I had a good teacher. Grandma didn't just leave me money. She left me her instincts. My phone buzzed. Caroline, finally safe in witness protection, had sent a coded message. Package secured. Paris, vault emptied. The final piece was in place. While Dad and Uncle Marcus rotted in jail, their Cardetti connections had been frantically trying to cover their tracks. But Grandma Rose had been 3 steps ahead, documenting every transaction, every threat, every midnight meeting. Ms. Mitchell? Agent Rivera appeared in the doorway. We found something in your grandmother's Cayman accounts. Names, dates, offshore transfers, 20 years of Cardetti operations. I know, I said. That's why they killed her. She was building a RICO case. And now you're finishing it, Alexander added. A crash downstairs interrupted us. Gunfire erupted, shattering windows. 3 men in black tactical gear burst in.
Down.
Agent Rivera tackled me as bullets sprayed overhead. I crawled behind a desk, heart pounding. Through the chaos, I heard Alexander shout, the panic room. Move. But I wasn't running this time. I had one more card to play, one last lesson from Grandma Rose. The painting. I yelled to Agent Rivera. The one on the wall. It's not just art. She looked confused but fired back at our attackers while I army crawled to the massive canvas. Behind it was a safe and inside, FBI. Drop your weapons. SWAT teams rappelled through the broken windows. The Cardetti hitmen were surrounded. I clutched the safe's contents, a single thumb drive with enough evidence to bring down not just the Cardettis, but half the corrupt judges and politicians in their pocket. Your grandmother, Alexander said later, was either crazy or brilliant. Both, I replied. She knew they'd kill her eventually. This was her revenge, using their own greed against them. But as we celebrated our victory, my phone lit up with a message that made my blood run cold. Did you really think your father was the mastermind? The real game is just beginning. Love, Mom. Script part separator . My world tilted on its axis as I stared at Mom's message. She'd abandoned us when I was 12, running off to find herself in Europe. Now this? What is it? Alexander asked, noting my expression. I showed her the phone. Her perfectly manicured nails tightened around it. Your mother? Teresa Mitchell? You know her? Alexandra's face went ash white. She's the Cardetti family's top lawyer. Has been for 15 years. The room spun. Mom hadn't abandoned us. She'd been working for them the whole time. Every holiday missed, every birthday forgotten, she'd been orchestrating this elaborate scheme. The money laundering wasn't Dad's idea, I whispered. It was hers. Agent Rivera burst in. We've got a problem. Someone's accessing the offshore accounts, draining them. I rushed to the computer. Funds were vanishing by the millions, transferring through a maze of shell companies. The signature on the digital transactions? Teresa Mitchell. She's taking everything, Alexander breathed. Using passwords only a family member would know. My phone buzzed again. Did you really think Rose outsmarted me? I taught her those tricks. See you soon, darling. Family reunions overdue. But Mom had forgotten one thing. I wasn't just Rose's heir. I was her student. And she taught me more than just hiding money. Call Caroline, I told Alexandra. Tell her to activate Protocol Sunflower. What's that? I smiled grimly. Mom's not the only one who can play games. Grandma Rose left a poison pill in those accounts. The minute someone unauthorized tries to drain them, alarms blared on the computer. Red warnings flashed across the screen. Every cent Mom thought she was stealing had just been diverted to a trust even she couldn't crack. The real game? I murmured. It's been playing all along. But as satisfaction settled in, a final message appeared. Clever girl. But money was never the endgame. Check the news tomorrow. Some secrets should stay buried, like what really happened the night your father met Rose. Script part separator . I stared at Mom's cryptic message as Alexandra and Agent Rivera huddled around computers, tracking the digital money trail. What secrets about Dad and Grandma Rose? My whole life felt like a house of cards, each revelation toppling another assumed truth.
Sarah.
Alexandra's voice was tight. Turn on the news.
Now.
Breaking news flashed across the screen. Mitchell family scandal deepens. DNA results leaked. My heart stopped as the anchor's words hit me. Sources claim Rose Mitchell was not Gerald Mitchell's mother, raising questions about the legitimacy of the entire Mitchell fortune. That's impossible, I whispered, but the evidence splashed across the screen told a different story. Documents showing Grandma Rose had taken over the Mitchell empire in 1960 through elaborate fraud. My father wasn't her son. None of them were. Your mother's fingerprints are all over this leak, Alexandra said. She's not just attacking the inheritance. She's destroying the foundation of your grandmother's empire. My phone buzzed again. Now you know why Rose picked you. Blood will tell, just not the blood you thought. Check your birth certificate, darling. Grandmother Rose had more secrets than just money. The implications hit me like a physical blow. If Dad wasn't Rose's son, and Mom had been working for the Cardettis all along, who am I? I whispered. Agent Rivera's face was grim. There's something else. We found Rose's original identity. Before 1960, she was Rosa Cardetti. The truth crashed over me like a tsunami. Grandma Rose hadn't been fighting the Cardettis. She'd been ruling them all along. And now I understood why she'd chosen me. Not because I was her granddaughter, but because I was her successor. Script part separator . The revelation about my true heritage hit like a freight train. Grandma Rose, or Rosa Cardetti, hadn't just been protecting me. She'd been grooming me. All those summers spent learning art weren't just about painting. She taught me to see patterns, to hide messages in plain sight, to think 3 moves ahead. My entire artistic career had been a cover, keeping me safely underground while the families warred. Agent Rivera spread photos across the table. Your grandmother didn't flee the Cardetti family in 1960. She took control, created a legitimate empire as a front. Your mother must have discovered the truth. But why wait until now? I asked. Alexandra's phone chimed. Her face went pale. Because the old guard is gathering. All 5 families. Tonight. My phone lit up. Time to take your seat at the table, daughter. The real inheritance isn't money. It's power. Choose wisely.
Mom.
I looked at the evidence of my life's greatest lies spread before me. The artist facade. The innocent granddaughter. All carefully orchestrated by a woman who'd seen something in me that even I hadn't recognized. What's it going to be? Alexandra asked. Run and hide? Or take what's yours? I picked up Grandma's final gift, an ornate ring I'd always thought was just jewelry. Now I recognized the symbol etched into the stone. The Cardetti crest. Call the families, I said, sliding it onto my finger. Tell them the new Donna wants to negotiate. Sometimes the best revenge isn't exposing the truth, it's using it. Script part separator . I walked into the meeting of the 5 families like I was born to it. In a way, I had been. The private dining room at Vincenzo's was thick with cigar smoke and generations of power. Faces I'd seen in FBI files turned to watch me, some curious, some hostile. Mom sat at the head of the table, elegant as ever in Chanel. "Welcome home, cara mia." "Quite a homecoming," I replied, taking the empty chair across from her. "Though your methods were a bit dramatic." She laughed. "You needed to understand what you're really inheriting. Rosa built this, all of it. The legitimate empire, and the other one. But she grew soft in her old age. Thought she could go clean. And you couldn't let that happen. The old ways still matter. Balance.
Control.
Family." She gestured around the table. "They're all here to see if you're worthy of Rosa's seat." I smiled, channeling every lesson Grandma had taught me. Worthy? I took down Dad's operation, protected the accounts, and figured out the truth. All while you thought I was just a naive artist. I'd say I proved myself. Murmurs around the table. Approving nods. But I continued, "If you want a war, I'll give you one." Every scrap of evidence Grandma gathered, every secret account, every dirty deal, one phone call, and it all goes to the FBI. Mom's smile faltered. "You wouldn't." I pulled out my phone. "Try me. Or we can do this the smart way. Unite the families. Modernize. Build something that lasts." The room held its breath. In that moment, I felt Grandma's presence, saw her masterpiece unfold. She'd created the perfect successor, someone who understood both worlds and could bridge them. Mom studied me for a long moment. Then she stood, raising her glass. "All hail the new Donna Cardetti. Script part separator equals. The glasses clinked as the room acknowledged their new leader. But even as I accepted their loyalty, my mind was racing 3 steps ahead. Just like Grandma taught me. "You think this is a victory?" Mom whispered as she embraced me. "The old guard won't accept change easily." "Good thing I'm not asking permission," I replied, my voice carrying across the room. Within my purse, a recording device captured every word. Agent Rivera would have her evidence, but on my terms. "Let me tell you how this will work," I announced to the assembled families. "We're going legitimate. Not all at once. That would be chaos. But piece by piece, we'll transform this organization into something sustainable. Something that can survive in the modern world." Vincenzo Cardetti, my newfound great-uncle, cleared his throat. "And if we refuse?" I projected the hidden camera feed from the room onto the wall with my phone. Facial recognition software was already identifying everyone present. "Then the next raid won't just take down one family. It'll take down all of them." Mom's laugh cut through the tension. "You see? Rosa's blood runs true." But as the families raised their glasses again, my phone buzzed with a final message. "Well played, little Rose. But remember, in this garden, even the thorns have thorns."
Sweet dreams. G.
G, Grandma's initial. But she was dead, wasn't she? I looked up to see Mom watching me, a knowing glint in her eye. The game, it seemed, had only just begun. Script part separator equals. I stared at the phone. That single letter G mocking everything I thought I knew. The families were still celebrating my ascension, but my mind raced through possibilities. Grandma Rose, or Rosa, had taught me to question everything. Even death itself, apparently. Mom appeared at my elbow, her expensive perfume masking something harder underneath. "She always said you were the only one who thought like her," she murmured, seeing patterns where others saw chaos. "Is she alive?" I whispered. "In our world, cara mia, death is sometimes negotiable." Her smile was razor-sharp. "The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Before I could respond, gunfire erupted outside. The family scattered as tactical teams breached every entrance. But these weren't FBI. Their uniforms bore no insignia. "Right on schedule," Mom sighed, checking her watch. I grabbed her arm. "You planned this?"
"No, darling." She did.
Mom nodded toward a figure entering through the kitchen, elegant in a tailored suit despite the chaos. Grandma Rose, very much alive, and holding a detonator. "Hello, little artist," she said, her familiar voice sending chills down my spine. "Ready for your final test?" The true game wasn't about inheritance or family loyalty. It was about who could orchestrate the perfect checkmate. And my grandmother, it seemed, had been playing us all from beyond the grave. Or rather, from a very luxurious hidey hole in Switzerland. Script part separator ===. The room froze as Grandma Rose, the puppet master herself, stood before us. The tactical team secured the perimeter with practiced efficiency. Her team, I realized. She'd had a private army all along. Did you really think I'd leave my legacy to chance? She moved with the same grace I remembered, not a hint of the frailty she'd shown before dying. This was all a test. The inheritance, the betrayals, the revelations, designed to forge you into what the family needs. And Mom? I asked.
Was she in on it?
Teresa played her part beautifully, Grandma said. Though some of her improvisations were unexpected. Mom actually looked sheepish. The DNA revelation was my idea. Thought it would push you to embrace your true nature faster. I laughed despite myself. 3 generations of Cardetti women, each playing their own angle. But what now? Grandma's smile was both proud and dangerous.
Now?
You've proven yourself worthy. The families respect you. The FBI thinks you're their asset. And you've shown you can play both sides without losing yourself. She held out her hand, ready to learn how deep the rabbit hole really goes. I took her hand, feeling the weight of destiny. But I had one last move to play. You taught me to always keep an ace in the hole, I said, pulling out a flash drive. So while everyone was watching the money and the families, I found a real empire. The political connections. The judges. The senators. Her smile widened. And I've spent weeks building my own network. If anything happens to me, it all goes public. Not through the FBI, through every major news outlet simultaneously. Grandma threw back her head and laughed.
Perfect.
The student becomes the master. So we have a deal? I asked. I keep your secrets, help modernize the organization, but we do it my way. No more blood. She pulled me into a fierce hug. My brilliant girl. I knew you'd understand the most important lesson. Which is, in our world, true power isn't about violence or money. It's about knowing when to show mercy. And so the artist became the architect, redesigning an empire while dancing between shadows and light. The FBI got just enough victories to keep them happy. The families prospered under new, cleaner management. And 3 generations of Cardetti women ruled from behind a curtain of legitimacy. But every now and then, when someone threatens what's ours, they learn why you should never underestimate a woman who knows how to hide daggers behind her smile. After all, that's the true art of power.
The end.